Hello, everybody. Welcome everybody to not an audio episode of the Anination Podcast, but we are having a special video of the Anination Podcast. My name is Nate, and on my right is Omid. How you doing, Omid?
I am good. What is up, Casagrandes? How y'all doing? And yeah, get ready for a special video as we talk to two special kind of people tonight.
Yeah, tonight is actually absolutely special. I know that for those who are watching this video today, you guys are excited for a big movie coming out tomorrow, which is the Casagrandes movie. And I'm happy to announce that we have special guests here on this special video. So let me go ahead and introduce you guys to them. The creator of the Casagrandes and the director of the Casagrandes movie, ladies and gentlemen, Miguel Puga. Are you Miguel? Oh man. How are you doing, Miguel?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you two?
Oh man, it's been first off starstruck, the fact that we're actually talking to you guys. So
yeah, let me just say it's definitely a pleasure and honor to do this with you, Miguel Puga, sir. And we get ready because we have a Casa week still continue on, and yeah.
This is one huge Casa week indeed, and we're just absolutely excited. The movie's coming out; it's just awesome. But FYI, we just don't have Miguel Puga here. We actually do have another person also with us as well. The head of story for the Casagrandes movie, ladies and gentlemen, Darin McGowan. How are you doing, sir?
Yes, Darin, good sir.
Bow, jinx.
And how are you today, Darin?
Good. Hey, how's it going?
Very, very well, of course. Especially now talking with you guys. So yeah, welcome to our show.
I never expected us to actually start this, to actually have an interview with you guys. It was just out of a reach moment. But thank you again, Miguel and Darin, for your time today for us to do this interview. So yeah, let's get this started here. All right. So first off, I want to ask Miguel and Darin, because back in 2021, we did a Loud House movie live stream, and I was wondering how the heck were you able to find us, because it was so random. Both of us were just doing some random stuff here and there with the audience, and then you just popped out of nowhere. We're like, we don't know what to do. Let's do.
Yeah, it was quite a surprise. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that Miguel found you guys. I think he sent us all a link, and we were stoked because I was going to stay up anyway for the Loud House movie. But then I was like, I messaged the guys. I think I said, why don't we crash the party? I think I said something like that. And I'm glad that most of us did. It was me, Puga, and King, right? David King.
Yeah, David.
Yeah,
King.
David King. I remember him. He was also there as well with you two. Yeah.
It was a ton of fun. I thought that was a lot of fun. We were going to do it again. Are you guys having a countdown? We'll crash.
We are not, unfortunately. We're busy with our work lives too. So unfortunately, we can't be able to do a live stream for the Casagrandes movie. This is why we're doing this interview instead.
What if we have one and you can crash ours?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Shit, maybe. Oh shit, maybe.
But you know what? I think this might be better than the countdown, right?
Are you saying that Casa is better than the Loud House, though?
I would say
do not
comparisons.
They're equal. I would say that they are
for movies.
Yeah. Well, that's a big discussion we'll do later.
Right. We got a big debate going on here, gentlemen.
I don't want to start debating here all of a sudden.
We're going to start
right.
problems. Yeah.
So let's get back, and we're going to go back in time to the Loud House. And Miguel, you were working on an episode called Heavy Metal, and from that episode is where we get to hear the idea about this new girl that we all know and eventually come to love. Yes, it is Ronnie and Santiago. And so how did this idea come to mind when you were storyboarding this episode?
So Ronnie Ann was already created. She was a little redhead girl with the yellow jacket. And
I remember, yeah.
I remember that I finally got to see who Ronnie Ann was, because she wasn't in Heavy Metal. She was just like, the Lincoln's bully. So when I finally got to see who Ronnie Ann was, I was like, oh. And after knowing that Lincoln has, obviously like Clyde as a best friend, but then 3 other redhead friends, and I was like, oh, So like everyone in the neighborhood's a redhead, and I was like, it'd be nice to have some Latinos in there, and like just making her brown, like a brown character, and like the very next day, they showed me the drawing. I was like, hey, here's Ronnie Ann. So that's where it kind of like started branching out from there. I was like, oh, and now she became Bobby's sister. And then like, hey, we have an idea for a spinoff. And we want to introduce like that side of the family. So that's when I came in to help co-develop the Casagrande family and with the writers. And that was a great opportunity because it was so much fun. I got to basically talk about how it was growing up being a Mexican American kid, latchkey kid, just like Ronnie Ann. And I got to use some elements from like myself growing up to my like pitching ideas of my cousins. Like, hey, my cousin could be, she's like this character. She's always putting on makeup. It's a big old fashionista. Or like, I have a cousin, whatever you need, he'll get it somehow. And you don't ask questions. So that character kind of became Carl. And so like little things like that here and there, little nuggets that became and branched off to like these big character moments that we all know and love now. So it's all collaboration. It's all credit to everyone that helped make this family where it's at. Even Darin had a really great episode. Like he boarded the first episode of the Casagrandes on season 4 of The Loud House.
That's
and
right.
like he really spelled it out. Like he added all those cool shots of all the cities wiping and stuff that we used on the series, and we kind of used it on the movie here. But he brought those ideas, and so like it was great to kind of work and pick every little thing from like the series, and like how do we make this bigger with the greater adventure. And I don't know if we pulled it off, but you guys got to watch the movie.
So so the Casagrandes were appearing here and there in a couple episodes of The Loud House. And it also brought into our attention, like, how were you able to actually bring the Casagrandes cartoon to life to actually have its own series? So I want to ask, how was the process of actually greenlighting the Casagrandes series?
Darin, do you remember?
I don't remember. All I remember is that they were going to do it. There was some questions of what the series could be. That's when, Miguel, I think you started working with the writers and developing the whole thing. But I just don't know, because I was just storyboarding back then, and I think I was kind of just on the outside. But I was happy to, lend my services once the things got greenlit. Because I remember it was the Casagrandes episodes were inserted into Loud House time slots, right? Even though they were, or were they Loud House episodes featuring the Casagrandes or something?
Yes, I think like in season 4 there were Loud House episodes featuring the Casagrandes. Yeah,
like you had answered episode title here with the Casagrandes, that sort of thing.
Right.
That's a good way to sneak a show into another show.
Yeah, that's called a backdoor pilot. But technically, the Relative Chaos was the backdoor pilot, but by the time it was picked up as a series, it took about 2 years, and it was just like a lot of like, oh hey, so what's going on? Oh, should we make them Mexican American, or do we just make up a nationality that we never bring up? And that feels so. If you want to do something that connects with people, or just like, I feel like if you want to do something right, you have to have the right, because kids could tell if it's something is authentic or not. So I wanted to do that, and I was like, can we just make them Mexican American? Because I don't know anything else what to write. And so luckily they budged, and we got to do the amazing family that we all love.
So Darin, you've been a storyboard artist for various amounts of cartoons outside of the Loud House and Casagrandes. You've been a storyboard artist for shows such as Rugrats, Rocket Power, Hi Puffy Ami Yumi, As Told by Ginger, and all that good stuff. So the question I have for you is that what show would you say shares the most similar aspects to the Loud House and the Casagrandes?
Oh wow, man, wow, that's a tough one. Well, that's a crazy question. I mean, crazy in a good way. I've never thought about this, but I'll tell you, when I first started Loud House, I had just gotten I was in primetime grown-up cartoons for like 7 years, and I was just exhausted. And Loud House spoke to me in just the way that I draw. Like, I used to get busted on Futurama when I first started because I drew too cartoony, they said. So they had to knock that out of me. And then when I started Loud House, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I do though. Like Loud House is cartoony, so it's easy to draw, and it's super fun to board. The characters are strong, like anything that we did on As Told by Ginger. You can have heart like we had on As Told by Ginger, even Thornberries, even Futurama, like any show that had just comedy, and then a real heartbreak moment or a real sweet moment. That was all in Loud House. And then also like just the way that I storyboard too. This is technical, but like I draw. Futurama killed me, so I can't not draw on model. This is so like inside baseball, but like I draw so tight. Only in trouble for not doing it. But that's part of like how how Loud House works for me. Yeah, it's always like character though. That's like Loud House and Casagrandes too. Like it's all character stuff, and the comedy and writing and everything is just because of who they are. And any funny thing I did on Puffy Amiyumi, I could do in Loud House, but it's grounded, in Loud House or Casagrandes. So it works in that universe too. What a neat question. I had never thought of it.
Yeah, it's a great question.
You know what? We're surprising you with like some aspects of other things here and there, but yes. I have another question for you, Darin, because you worked on both Loud House movie and the Casagrandes movie. So how does one handle working on both of those movies together?
Well, it's the same universe. So like we've been on Loud House for 10 years now. Since 2014, we started. Miguel and I started together. I knew Miguel from before, but that show started in 2014. So when you know how it works and what you can do and what you can't do, like it's not difficult. The thing was from going from a TV show that's based on a comic strip style to a movie. Like what is that? And like the first Loud House movie was kind of an experiment, but like Casagrandes is just bigger than anything. I think I can't even. It's so big. I don't know how you did it, Miguel. I don't. Because I was just story. So when I left, I'm like, what?
Thanks to Darin, I couldn't find. I'm so glad I had Darin as my head of story, because you needed someone you could trust on your right hand side. And I first thing I told him, like, I want to go big, and I don't know, like we're being ambitious. It's my first movie, and how big can we go? Because I got to work on the Loud House movie for a quick second, and I boarded like this whole big, epic travel scene of Bobby going all over the world, hopping on different types of vehicles, animals to get to Lori. But in itself, it turned into like a 6 to 7 minute short, which, unfortunately had to get cut, which we had, but it was such a blast. And I think they saw like, hey, you like what you did there. Can you work on this movie now? Or are you interested in working on the Casagrandes movie? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But this was the best job I ever had. And it's, part of it's because I got to deal with this guy.
You're pointing the right way, Miguel. You're pointing the right way.
Am I now?
Okay,
guy.
Yeah, you are.
That's the right way. Yeah.
Well, that's nice of Miguel to say, but I appreciate him bringing me on, because this is one of the best times I've ever had making anything. And Puga's my friend, and he was my boss.
That's right.
We were equals.
No way, that's not true.
Yeah, hey, listen, Darin, I feel the same way about Nate when it comes to our podcast. Like I consider Nate both my friend and my boss too. So.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Now, touching upon Miguel's creative ambitions for the Casagrandes. So, what cartoons or any kind of media, including movies or live action TV shows or books, that you've watched or read in the past, helped inspire your creative contributions for the Loud House and the Casagrandes?
Miguel?
It's a good question. Everything and anything I ever watched before, and we watched a bunch of stuff just to kind of inspire us and just kind of get that almost that childhood wonder of like kind of pumping yourself up to finally get to work on a movie and make a movie, because it's like it's always been a dream of mine. I was like, all right, I gotta watch, Jaws, I gotta watch all these epic movies, like everything like from Star Wars to Indiana Jones. And when it became to like working with the writers on the script, I kept pitching. I was like, it's like the Goonies meets Marvel Universe. And that was like the whole idea that we just kept going. And so like, obviously I love Marvel and I watch everything Marvel. So like, I just wanted to do something that would just get me excited. So like a lot of the movies we were watching that I watched for sure, it was like a lot of the Leica movies, anything that that stood out to me. And I was like, I just want to watch this. Obviously, I watched a lot of Willow to inspire me because that's the number one movie.
Oh,
Miguel, so much.
I love Willow. I just like try to shove it in there every time. Willow was great. But just watching movies that I loved, and I was like, okay, why does this movie inspire me so much? Or why do I love this movie? And what can I do on the Casagrandes movie that's gonna maybe somehow just get one person to love it and just like, hey, I want to rewatch this movie again. Like, I don't know why, but I love it. But because that's what movies did to me. And I just wanted to just keep watching stuff that inspired me. I don't know. That's a hard question. What do you think, Darin?
I've been talking about like cartoons back in the days, maybe like Scooby-Doo.
Oh yeah, like Rocco. Yeah. Obviously, I love Rocco.
Rocco's Modern Life. Yeah.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah. So some of those like Rocket Power, like those Nickelodeon shows, same with like the Cartoon Network shows that you grew up before, like Dexter's Lab. Yeah. So we were kind of thinking like those.
Yeah, there's Pop-Up Girls too.
Right there. Yeah. Darin.
Oh, Darin, you got something to say?
Yeah, Charlie Brown from the beginning.
Yes,
that's a huge classic.
Peanuts. Peanuts. I like that. Yeah, Peanuts.
Well, I always thought Lincoln had a little Charlie Brown in him and a little bit of Lucy in him. There's a lot of different things, but we based those. I mean, that stuff came straight from the strips, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's even at one scene in The Loudest Yard where Lucy like pulls the ball from Lincoln. It's like,
I'll tell you a couple of things. Lincoln's winter outfit is straight up Charlie Brown's outfit from the Christmas.
Oh, the whole orange jacket. Yeah.
But I always felt like Loud House felt like it was it's not, but it always felt like it was a comic strip that existed for 20 years. And then they made like TV specials, like, like the Charlie Brown Christmas or the Garfield Halloween. It always felt like it was something before it was.
So we know what happened with the show. Casagrandes lasted 3 seasons and then it was over. But we were all thinking it was pretty much done. The Casagrandes was over. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen next? But we heard some rumors brewing that there was going to be a Casagrandes movie being made. And lo and behold, the Casagrandes movie, is being made right now. It's going to be debuting this Friday. So Miguel.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah. We'll say that. Actually, I want to give a shout out to Sunny Eclipse because she's the one who suggested this question.
Hey. Sunny.
So how were you able to pitch the Casagrandes movie, and what were your ideas for that movie?
Well, the first person that was attached to the script to the movie was Lalo Alcaraz, who is a cultural consultant on the series, and he also wrote a bunch of my favorite episodes. And he was the first one to be attached as I was still working on the series. And he's like, hey, we're gonna get the Casagrandes movie for Netflix, but I think I want them to go to Mexico. And goes, what do you want to do in the movie? And I was like, dude, I'm not even attached to it. Like, can I help you? Can I say anything? He's like, yeah, come on. And so I told him, like, well, they should go to Michoacan because that's where Rosa's family's from, and that's where my family's from. And he's like, all right, cool, yeah, let's do it. And so I did some art. I did some pretty fun stuff. I did the Mexican flag with Sergio as an eagle to kind of present it to Netflix. And then he just pitched an idea that was vaguely what we kind of saw in the movie, but it still needed a lot of work. and it was a lot of fun. And then when they finally asked me, and I want to give a shout out to Ramsey Nato and Darlene Camaño, who they hopped on a Zoom with me, and they told me, as Ramsey, who, if you know Ramsey Nato, she's the one that's running all of Nickelodeon, asked me, like, Miguel, do you want to co-direct the Casagrandes movie? And Darlene next year was doing this, or do you want to direct the movie? And she was kind of prompting me to say yes. And I was so scared. I was like, yes. And you know, ever since that day, like I want to thank them because they believed in me, and you know, they gave me that confidence that I did not have to direct the movie, and that kind of helped me kind of work with the writers, and work with Lalo and Rosemary, who stepped in and were like, hey, we have an idea. This is what we have. And we want to go big. And I just kept nudging them, like, let's go bigger. Let's go bigger. And then we got Tony and Becky Gamalobo, who joined in. And I literally sat with them, with Mike Rubiner, and Jason McConnell, who's our executive in charge in the movies. And we just kind of worked almost every day for like 2 months just to get like work on the script. And this is a movie you guys got. So even from like the first draft that they turned in, we were ready to start. And that's awesome. It was just amazing because I still have the sketches of like, hey, this is an idea. It was just a lot of fun. And then I kept reading on like, all right, how do you make a successful movie during the streaming times? And they said, okay, you got to get the audience in, so they don't, you know, change it to like Cocomelon on streaming. Within the first 3 minutes, you got to get their attention and then have a big third act. So I think that's what we did. And it was just an amazing and fun time because like I said, this was the best experience of my career. And when I brought Darin in, I was like, Darin, this is what we want to do. And Darin was like, whoa, can we do that? Like, can we? I was like, but you know, we were all stepping up into like, hey, I know we're coming from TV shows, but we could probably make this bigger and grander than we ever wanted. And the family goes on an even bigger adventure. And we just wanted to do something that was like, right, this is the only movie I direct. I just want to go as big as they can. And thanks to Darin kind of had my back.
Well, I'm just a guy who's there for his friends. So I'm really happy to work with Miguel, and I was happy to try and get it as far as we could. But there's stuff that I still, even when I left, because I was just story. I left a year before, you know, when the animation started, I was out. But I did see some of the tests before I left, and I didn't know if it was, I mean, it was like, okay, well, good luck, you know, but you pulled it off.
Leaving him off like that? Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Sayonara, this is your turn now or something.
No, but then Miguel would send me little updates, which was great. Even the music. Miguel, you should talk about the score because he would send me videos and things of what was happening. And not talk about big, like the animation is great, but the music is big.
Yeah.
We have something to talk about because we're now going to be talking about the Casagrandes movie now.
Oh yeah,
you want to start?
So we've went ahead and seen the movie, and yes, it is an absolutely great watch. Especially for those who are huge Casagrandes fans, they're definitely going to enjoy it. I guarantee it for sure. And of course, it contains all the fun moments with Ronnie Ann, her family, and her new adventure in Mexico. Darin, the story of the Casagrandes movie includes a folklore tale of what looks to be Mexican gods. Where did you hear about these gods, and how did it help coordinate into your story for the movie?
Yeah, Puga. I didn't have. I mean, when I started, the script was already done. Like this was all, and it was like a lot of this stuff was like, you know, great. This is what we want to do. We're going to do it. So there were tricks. There were things like, I don't know if we should talk about them. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but there was some, like visually, you can write it, but visually, okay, well, how do you do that though? Like, and maybe I'll tell you later what those are. But like, how do you, when you introduce the character who's this, well, but wait a second, that's going to change, that affects everything you board until this. So like in that script, what I was so impressed by was that there are setups and there are payoffs. There was a lot of great stuff. I forgot what the question was already, but like, I just learned on the job. I learned on the job. There was stuff that I wasn't aware of. There was stuff that I learned from reading the script. There was stuff I learned from Miguel. There was all this stuff was just like super exciting and like brand new to me, but it's a tribute to so many. I just loved the characters and bringing life to things. And I'll be darned if that thing at the end isn't one of the biggest. I don't know how you did it.
Oh yeah.
I think I could answer that question. The question was, what is the story behind the gods in the movie? So it was, I spent a lot of my summers and winters in Mexico, in Michoacan. And one of the first, I just love the Purepecha culture in Michoacan. It was just the indigenous people that live in that region. And just seeing their art and their folk art and their music and just a culture that was so celebrated in that place. It's something I always loved, and that's where it stemmed from. It's just my love of, just digging into our roots and just finding out like, oh wow, they have gods for this. They have a god of the sun. They have a god of earth. They have like the moon goddess. They have, a god of the underground. They have all kinds of, like, their culture is so rich. There's like, it's still so alive right now. And I wanted to portray that because, Mexican culture is only blanketed by like Mayan and Aztec, but there's like over 69 different indigenous groups. And just to add one more to like that shelf of like, hey, here's another one to add, like, learn more about these people, because it's such a rich culture, and everything from like the fireball game that's been played for over 33,000 years, and just like, there's always like, the town that my family's from, in Michoacan. I'm gonna give a shout out, Jacona, Michoacan. There's a mountain that's like right in the center of the town, and it's called El Curutaran. And people say like, oh, there's a temple in there, and it just looks like a mountain, but it's cursed. You don't want to go in there, or if you take anything, you're gonna be cursed. It's just like little things here and there. That's where it came from, and I just wanted to really push like, hey, let's do it about the Purepecha people, and it was great because everyone was on board, and I got to introduce it not only to the crew, and I got to introduce it to the world through the Casagrande eyes and stuff. So it was such an honor to be able to do it. And I got to give a shout out to Carlitla Poyawa and Iris Calderon, who were our culture consultants. And Iris really helped out with the Purepecha language to help out with the actors to like speak it, which is amazing to see them. Big shout out to Paulina Chavez, who plays Punguari, who just came in like a boss and just like was shouting to the heavens in Purepecha.
I have to say this, she did an amazing job voicing Punguari. She just was absolutely like what you said, Miguel, like a boss. Like she like ruled on authority as a demigod goddess,
Yeah, the voice actress of Punguari pretty much gave it her all. She gave so much passion, so much energy into the role.
What other things of like Mexican culture do you expect us to see in this movie?
Well, the music for sure, which I don't know if that's part of one of the questions, but I want to give a shout out to Marcelo Trevino, who did an amazing job. He actually got like the Purepecha people to play some music. So, and then you hear a lot of the voice, like the language is spoken. You hear the language in the music. The mask are a huge part of the culture. Like there's all kinds of masks, like even with the viejito mask, which is like a dance of the old man, which is in the trailer. You'll see them, like it's kind of scary. I used to be so afraid of those masks every time I would see them. But it was funny to like just add it in there. I was like, all right, something that used to scare me as a kid. Hopefully it doesn't scare kids now, but it's like, hey, a big part of the movie.
Definitely.
What else,
Yeah,
Darin? Do you remember what else was in there?
What are they making? What's Maria making with Mama Lupe?
Oh yeah, corundas, which is a
Huge thing.
tamal version of Michoacan, which is it's a triangle shape, and it's really good. So there's that. Chanclas, obviously. Chanclas are a huge thing.
I mean, if anything, the Casagrandes were like really dealing with the chanclas throughout the show
Yeah.
too. So there's that.
And the great
That's
thing
their
about
staple
that
food,
is,
yeah.
yeah, the sandal, the chancla is like so universal. Everyone has it in their culture.
Oh yeah.
You just lift it up and you're like, oh, okay, I'll stay in the lane.
Chanclas are a deadly weapon.
More like an authoritative thing to not
Yeah.
mess with.
Of course, I want to discuss about the animation of the Casagrandes movie. Now, the movie looks absolutely stunning. I mean, it looks breathtaking with the shadows, the lighting, and the stunning visuals that really do make it stand out a whole lot more than what we see in the regular show. What I also noticed too was that the animation company called Mighty Animation actually helped with the film. Best of all, they're based in Mexico. So the animation studio that is responsible for the animation of this movie is in Mexico. And so I want to ask you, Miguel and Darin, how were you able to get an animation company based off of Mexico to work on the film about this big Latino family?
Well, yeah, Darin.
That was all at Miguel's request. Not only Mighty, but also our score. Everything, Miguel, right?
I wanted to just, here's the thing, like there's a lot of animation studios in Mexico, and they just don't get the chance to like work on big projects or any of these major a lot of these big studios don't get to use them. Like they'll pepper in these studios to help out like bigger studios, like for outsourcing stuff. But I wanted to use a Mexican studio and also a Mexican conductor since the beginning. And it and Mighty was so great to work with, because not only did they have people in Mexico, they had people all over Latin America. They had people in Europe helping out, and a lot of talented people. Like all the effects were amazing. They blew me away. There's a shot in the trailer that I still kind of like drool over, is where Punguari is becoming the god, and we see lightning like just flashing everywhere, and they're like, just for a split second we see lightning that just rips across the screen, and you're like, whoa. So if you ever watch on a big screen, it's one of those things that you're like, whoa, what's going on? And I want to give credit to the Mighty team, because they did an amazing job, and I was so impressed with their work. And then we also ended up working with Digitunes in India for just I think they took on just a bit towards the end. And also we had an internal animation team. So I want to give it to Mitch Kennedy and Franz Vischer, who were our animation directors. And they came in and just helped everyone get ready to like, how do we elevate this from the TV show to the movie? So like their hair moves more, or part like the drapery is going to move a lot more. Just making like using real animation, because if you don't know, the Loud House and the Casagrandes are animated in Harmony, so they use a lot of the puppets. So puppety animation, but sometimes like you can't even tell, it looks flawless. So what was great about elevating the animation was just like, hey, how do we push it more, like have some more like squash and stretch, or a little bit more just hair waving. Darin, anything else to add for that? You got to see that. So Darin left, and then when he came back, he got to see like some of the final animation, and
I'm just so impressed sometimes. Like I can't believe.
I think the one thing that kind of got out to us was the fact that like when we saw the trailer drop on Netflix, I was so stunned with the fact that everything was shining out. Like the characters are like bright and brilliant. It looks so much different compared to like the cartoon series itself, that I was like, how were you guys able to do that? It looks so good. Like
Miguel
background art, character art, and everything.
Well, that's Gonzalez and you were putting all of that together with your team. The
Miguel,
shadows and the backgrounds too.
Yeah, that all that credit goes to Miguel Gonzalez and Kawi Zucchini, who was an associate art director, and they both came from the Casa series.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I mentioned earlier, we all kind of wanted to step up because like, oh, now we get to like work in the whole movie side. And if you don't know, like working in TV animation and then making that step into the movie, you hear about it, but like they kind of like look down at us like, you can't big guys, get away.
A little.
A little. There's a lot of egos, but
really? No.
it was great to do it because like we got to do a great mix of like feature people and TV people, because a lot of us want to work in movies. Like that was one of the reasons why we got into animation, or just obviously like, I want to make that next step. How do we do it? And we got a lot of people that chance to do it. And Miguel Gonzalez and Kawi Zucchini, along with his entire art team, did an amazing job. They plussed it so much that we need an art of book somehow. It'll be great because every background is gorgeous. Everything's beautiful.
Definitely looks amazing.
Yeah,
and
I would buy it in a heartbeat. I would buy the artwork in a heartbeat. Yeah.
I would imagine those who are watching the Casagrandes movie tomorrow, they'll probably be so shocked and so stunned with everything that was put out for the animation of the movie. It's just absolutely brilliant. Okay, so one thing I noticed in this movie is that it hits a part of Familia that wasn't really talked about when it comes to the Casagrandes show. I kind of want to try to see this without any spoilers, but can you explain the relationship within the family in this movie and how important its impact is related to families that will be watching the movie?
That's a great question. Darin, take it away.
There was a theme from the start, and I even had to present something about it, a theme of mothers and daughters. And that was the strongest thing that I thought when I read it. I'm like, this is going to be, because you have two sets of them. And what you did at the end, Miguel, is so strong. Oh my God. It's you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So
yeah, definitely.
And so cute and so funny. Moms and daughters. I mean, even in when, and I don't want to ruin anything either, but my favorite part of the movie is when Maria, Mama Lupe, and Rosa are having their moment, and they're all talking. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful and so touching.
Yeah.
And that was the theme that we just pulled throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, that was the first one. When I read that in the script, I was like, this is the first thing we're going to storyboard. Because it wasn't, but it was like my favorite sequence in the entire movie, because this is what the movie's about. And everyone that's watched it says the same thing. Like, I love that scene. I love that.
We gave that to Diana, who boarded.
Yeah, Diana Kidlade, who did an amazing job, and she
put a lot of heart in her boards, and she did also the end. Oh God, I don't want to.
I just saw the significant theme of mothers and daughters, which has been. I think it just hits family hard. The fact that mothers and daughters, they relate to each other like that, and if things happen in one way or another, they have their own way to get together and make sure they're still familiar,
Miguel, did you put a lot of your family in this? I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I have a daughter who's 10, and we're seeing her grow up and just become her own person. I was like, she wants to go out, she wants to do all this stuff. I was like, no, you stay here. Stop growing, like stay here. And I'm sure everyone kind of went through the same thing. Like, I'm sure your parents went through the same thing. Like, hey, you're learning how to drive. Like, no. Please be careful. Please be careful. And so that moment at the end, and we call this one the mother and daughters moment, is 30. But it's just like little moments like that I
don't give it away. That's such a great gag.
I hear my wife say it all the time. Even I say it too. And it's just such a great, funny, special moment that we love.
But that's great that you mentioned that, because throughout this movie, like, we had our script, but a lot of the times Miguel would come in with more ideas. And so we just had to figure out how to fit them in, because they're great. They were really strong. It was really strong stuff. But then, like, how do you stick it in? We figured it out.
Yeah.
Right.
We had so many great ideas that unfortunately ended up, we had to cut a lot.
Oh, really?
And
Oh, no.
there's so
Oh,
much.
We're not
This
expecting
movie
the
was
whole
40
movie.
minutes longer than what it was now.
Oh, dang.
It was almost 2 hours long when we first did our first screening, and
Oh, man.
we had to cut so much. But you know, maybe we'll release those moments one
Release
day.
the Puga cut? Is that what
Yeah,
we're
the
gonna
cut.
call it?
Release the Puga cut. Let's go.
No, it was too long. It was too long.
Okay.
Darin,
Well, but we had 3 screenings through the process, and so the first time we did it, the first cut that we had, it was basically just Miguel saying, "Let's do it, let's go for it," and we did. And some of our borders, we just said, "Go for it," and we got so much good stuff. This thing grew; it was so big that we had to cut it down in sections, and then we had to cut things and reassemble it, which was some of the best time I had on the movie. And Miguel, we've talked about this, was just brainstorming. You, me, Mike, and Tony in our story room, just trying to figure out, okay, how do we take it apart, and then how do you put it back together? And it was a blast. It was so much fun.
it was one of my. I still think about that moment, just like, or those moments, just sitting down with Darin and just like taking the storyboards, putting them up, and coming up with great ideas. Like even the prologue, at one point, was almost 10 minutes long. And I'm really proud to say this. Netflix said it was too scary, and so
Really?
we had to cut it down a lot and change the music so it's a little bit more whimsical. But yeah, like everyone that watched it was like, "Whoa!" Like,
it was intense. Yeah,
it was intense.
Huh. It would have been
very
scary
intense.
than expected.
So it would have been scarier. It would have.
Yeah,
It was
quite
scarier.
interesting how the introduction was, because it was kind of like shocking with the thunderbolts coming down.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
people
Like,
can see it in the trailer.
would
Thunderbolts
have
coming
warranted
down,
a
Wari being
PG
a big
rating.
goddess herself.
it was
For sure, it probably would have gotten up a rating.
A
And
PG
that was
rating.
Gustavo, and that credit goes to Gustavo Cosillo. He's a Mexican storyboard artist who is, I think, one of the top storyboard artists or story artists in this industry, because he did a lot of my favorite sequences in this movie. Everything he did, we ended up giving to another amazing animator, Ram Tomaz, who's in France, and he's a Mexican-born animator, and he just did full-on hand-drawn animation that I can't wait to share with everyone once the movie's out. Maybe I'll give it like another week to hold from the spoilers, but like his art needs to be, people need to love that art.
Time Miguel launched Gustavo on anything, it was great. And then we would just wait for it to come back. And when it came back, we were all like, oh, and then it kicked ass. Like, it was everything he turned in was so good. You wanted to keep all of it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was cool and funny.
It was just like I still love it. I have it. I want to print all his artwork up and just put it on my wall.
It'd be cool if he actually like sold his artwork or something. I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I think he does. I think he actually does sell it.
Oh. I have
He's
to look
that
at
good.
I have to look in the site or some sort of website for that.
You'll find
I
him.
won't be ready, man.
Cosillo.
Let me ask you both this, actually. When you worked on the Casagrandes series and movie, was there at any point where, when you look at Ronnie Ann, that there are certain aspects of her that remind you of you both when you were her age, like when you were kids? Was there any sort of moments in which you could relate to Ronnie Ann in a sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of those little, whenever we were in the writer's room, or even everyone part of the team would pitch like little nuggets of like, hey, this happened to me as a kid, or I like little things like that become like bigger things in the episodes or story moments, and especially for Ronnie Ann, who is the new kid in the city, and she's just trying to figure out like how does she make new friends, or how does she keep friends, or how does she skate around in the big city, or just hang out with Sid, and she wasn't a bad kid at all, but still like she was into cool stuff, and a lot of those little aspects were like stuff that I would see my daughter do, like, oh, that'll be fun to add in there, or stuff that I remember doing, like skating or trying to skate, I would say.
Awesome.
Darin.
Nice.
Well, not with Ronnie Ann, but this might sound this might sound crazy because I wasn't on Casagrandes for long, but I was there for the first couple of episodes, you know, and they told me, because I did the first one with Sid, and they didn't know, they were trying to figure out Sid or something, and I said I boarded a lot of wild stuff, like not wild, but like I remember saying in the pitch, I said, she's kind of a nut, right? Like you want her to be a nut, right? And so he said, yeah. So it was the one episode when she's doing the bird calls and attracts pigeons, and she's hiding in a trash can, or like all this weird stuff. That was what I liked doing. The funny yeah. Ronnie Ann's great, but I like Sid's funny to me. Well, Ronnie Ann's funny too. They're all great. I like CJ.
CJ, yeah.
Yes.
He's wholesome, man. He's so
Well,
wholesome.
One of my favorite characters. CJ is just, you know,
and so relatable,
he's
to be fair. Like, he's such a great kid.
Miguel teases me all the time because of one of the boards I did when they get sprayed. The girls are pranking the boys and they spray him with pickle juice. Oh, yeah. And there's a pose I did that Miguel still has, and it's just CJ smelling his hands, and he says it's pickle juice.
That's every time Darin calls me, that's the image that pops out.
Is it true?
Like, pickle juice.
CJ smelling his hands. Great,
man. No, but
CJ's such a playful boy. We love him.
Yeah.
I have to put a comment out for Sid because, like, you know, she was just a background character, a BFF for Ronnie Ann for the Casagrandes, but I've been noticing from our fandom, she's been lovable. Everyone loves Sid. She's like so relatable and a wholesome character for Ronnie Ann. She's definitely a great BFF for Ronnie Ann. Yeah.
You know, she's in the Casagrandes movie. Did I spoil it?
Yes. Well, I mean, she was in the trailer, so I'm
yeah.
you didn't yeah. So, Miguel, I saw in a recent Twitter post a little shrine. Let me present that for you.
Yeah.
How did I do that? Yeah, the little shrine here. Yes. It says here, a Casa altar at Nick to bring back the show, or at least that everyone enjoys the movie. So what do you tell me here, Miguel? Are we looking for another possible season of the Casagrandes, or explain your thoughts here?
It could be possible. We're not working on one right now, but it doesn't mean it could come back. Like, it could still come back one day. You know, you never end anything. You always have room to play. You always have room to like tell more stories, and that's why you see the family and the Loud House episodes, and there's some really great stories coming with the Casagrandes in those Loud House episodes. But a lot of it had to do with, like, you know, we had a leak. The movie leaked.
Yeah. Did you hear?
And so we're like, please don't leak anything else. So that's when this started.
Oh,
yeah. Did you know about that?
No, we didn't know about a movie leak, actually.
Yeah,
I didn't either. Somebody
hacked Nickelodeon or something and got like a third of our movie.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh,
the animatics, you know.
But still, that's still big content pertaining to the movie, so people can, like, you know, see it and say like, "Oh my god, this is part of the movie!" Yeah.
Well, the good news is it was good stuff. You know.
No, we were like, "Oh no, it's leaked," and I was like, "Wait, this could be a good thing. Maybe." Well, you know, people started talking. I'm like, "Hey, this actually looks pretty good." And I was like, "All right, cool." I mean, it sucks that it leaked because, like, I wanted to surprise people, but you know, I think it was fun to just hear and see people's reactions before, because like we were right in the middle of it. We're still like figuring out the movie when it was leaked, and it kind of just gave us that nice fire to like, hey, people are liking it. All right, cool. Let's keep plussing and making it better.
Yeah. At least you guys like took that whole like news in a great assault. They'd be able to actually continue working on the movie, even if it got leaked out to everywhere to say. So, but no matter what, even though with those bad news, bad press and stuff like that, you still ended up making this movie, and it ended up becoming like a great movie in our eyes. But the Casagrandes fans are definitely going to check it out tomorrow. They're going to be absolutely stunned on what you guys have made.
I agree. I 100% agree with that.
I have a question for you two. What do y'all think of the movie?
Oh, we loved it.
I loved it. I really liked it. Oh my god.
Yes.
I can't make comparisons to the Loud House movie. I mean, my thing is like everything that was animated well, like it was so stunning. The story was so relatable, especially with the fact that it relates to Familia. So I
Yeah.
mean, I have my issues with my mom too, and just seeing the whole story about like this point of the story of being like a mother-daughter thing, or more like a mother-sibling thing, to be fair. Like, it just tells you like, hey, that we're growing up, and that still we need to have that motherly touch just to make sure that they are still watching over us and everything.
I think that's what, honestly, now, nothing against the Loud House movie, but I think like the Casagrandes movie to me is the stronger of the two, based on the fact of how I feel that Mexico in the movie looks even better than Scotland in the Loud House movie. No offense to the animators of that movie.
Wait,
and also
Darin worked on it, by the way.
No offense, Darin. No
I
offense,
was a
Darin.
storyboard artist. That's not.
Oh,
No offense,
okay,
Darin.
okay.
He worked on both. As number two,
It was
I feel
because of Darin. It's better. No, I'm just kidding. I think they're both equal. I love. If there wasn't a Loud House movie, there was no way we could have done this movie. So it was a good stepping stone to like see what they did. I was like, all right, how do we elevate it just a bit more? So it still feels like it's in the same universe, but credit to all our entire art team, voice acting team, our production crew, and everyone that was involved that really pushed for this movie to be what it is.
Definitely. And also, I feel like the Casagrandes movie stands strong, especially in the family aspect, like Nate pointed out. Because of the mother-daughter relationship, I feel that it is definitely another one of those things that upholds the movie, like really what makes it as strong as ever. That, and also the animation and the Mexican and Latino culture that's incorporated into the film as well.
With the Loud House movie, the goal was to introduce Lincoln Loud to new people. They put it on Netflix to kind of grow the audience, and you can tell. And also at that point, I know when they wrote it, the goal was to bring Lincoln back. I know that Lincoln had kind of been pushed in the shadows, and the sisters were in the spotlight. That there's even a part in the Loud House movie where he walks into a spotlight. Like, this was literally like a Lincoln movie. This is the Casagrandes is a Ronnie Ann movie, but it's Ronnie Ann and Maria. And it's Maria and Rosa, and it's Rosa and Mama Lupe. You know what I mean? Like, it's so heavy. I love it.
Do you have time for a couple of questions from our fans, or are you
sure? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's do it.
So it's time for some fan questions. I did ask a couple of friends who are kind of close to me that are also big fans of the Casagrandes, and I have two questions from a couple of our fans here. So this one's from Jaku. If you guys had a chance to make another Casa Loud House movie, who or what would it have been about?
Sergio.
Another Sergio movie. That's our Sergio special.
Imagine that.
What? I like Sergio. What's wrong with him?
Sergio works as a supporting character. He works better as a supporting character. And
I mean, still.
I'm totally joking. I'm goofing
around. Kind of worms you opened up, Darin.
I just like when Sergio gets and knocked out and he loses his beak or whatever.
Yeah. I try to kill Sergio, but it's a good thing, so we had to bring him back.
He keeps on coming back up again. Oh man.
That's a tough question. I think it will probably be another one for the family. Because it is called the Casagrandes. And I if I were able to do it, I would, and I probably wouldn't go as big as we did for the first movie, but just make it more, grounded this time, just to be like, all right, this is something special. Maybe I don't want to say much, but I have an idea, but I don't know if it's going to happen, but it'll be great to do it. And I know it'll be great to do like a Sid movie or something.
Oh my God. I would love that.
Yes.
I would love that.
I'm 100% behind this idea, good sir. I'm 100% behind this idea. Yes.
All right. Now we have one more question, and this is from RoyalSmurf. What licensed songs?
I know RoyalSmurf.
He has a question. What licensed songs, if any, were featured in the movie and the credits? Or can you be able to reveal that out right now?
Well, for sure we have. It's in the. Maybe, I guess, is it licensed? The 12 is Midnight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the I'm Back song, because it's on like Spotify and yeah.
So that counts.
So I would imagine that's one of them. Yeah.
We do have two original songs. in the movie that were done by Marcelo Trevino, and one of them's in the trailer. It's Over the Moon.
I'm
Right?
over the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Chancla Warrior song, which you kind of hear at the beginning or right in the middle of the trailer, which was also done by Marcelo, and those were great. But the only licensed song was I'm Back.
Can you tell them what you wanted to put it over the credits?
Yeah, I wanted to put what's that song called? I can't remember what it was. Dancing in the Moonlight.
Dancing in
At the end.
Oh,
At
Dancing
the
in
end.
the
But
Moonlight.
it was I think we had like a smaller budget to make this movie, and we wanted to focus on the animation part, because licensing music is very expensive. And so like you have these bigger studios like DreamWorks that has like 30 licensed music in one movie. You're like, how do they afford this? But
yeah.
they have the money to drop.
They put it over the credits of the Muppets Haunted Mansion anyway.
Yeah. But I wanted to be sung in Purepecha, which would have been like a whole other, like they have to learn it, and someone has to write it out.
Yeah. I think that was one other thing too, was also the native language also in the movie too. That was also probably something to also bring up for the Mexican cultures stuff as well. So there's that.
That was incredible to watch that happen at our records, to make sure we got it right. That was unbelievable to watch it happen.
Yeah.
And it worked out because we'll see it later, but that language will be featured a lot in that movie. So yeah. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much our time here. I'll give Miguel, Darin, I'll give you guys I'll give you guys like a chance to like talk to the audience and tell them like how big this movie is going to be. So go ahead and put your self-promotion out there.
Darin, do you want to go first?
Do you want me to go first? Go ahead.
Well,
I'll just say this was one of the most fun things I've ever worked on. And it was great working with my friend Miguel Puga and all of my new friends and special friends, people I'm still working with today and people I've worked with for 10 years. This movie is great. It's got so much heart and it looks beautiful and it's funny as hell. So I'll just leave it at that and just say, like, I'm just here for Miguel Puga and everybody else. And I was just happy to be here. Thanks, dude.
Thank you. I mean, we wanted to do something not only for the crew that's worked their butts off on this movie and the series, but also for the fans. And you'll see a nice little special card for the entire Casa Loud House Familia at the end.
That was
touch my heart. Touch my heart.
So doing something like that and really going big with this movie was something that I still pinch myself, and I'm getting nervous. Like, I know we have it comes out tomorrow, but I'm breaking out in sweats, you guys. I hope people dig it. I hope people like it. It was my first movie to direct, and I am so proud of everyone that worked on it, because there's no way, like I wouldn't pick anybody else to work on it other than the people that worked on it. And I'm so happy and glad that some of that crew is now working with Darin. That's something amazing. So
well, thank you. Thank you very much, Darin McGowan, Miguel Puga, for your time here at the Anination Podcast. The Casagrandes Movie debuts on Netflix March 22nd.
Give me a high five, Miguel.
You guys are high fiving, yes.
High fiving, yes. I like that.
We'll high five you guys above too.
Yeah. Hey, right here. Woo!
There we go.
Right here, baby. Woo! Yes.
Darin McGowan, Miguel Puga, thank you very much for your time. I hope you guys have an amazing Casagrandes week. I'm pretty sure anybody who's going to be watching the movie tomorrow. Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
And of course, we want to say thank you so much, Miguel and Darin, and all those cast and crew who worked on the movie, who have blessed us with such an amazing, heartwarming, and funny and a well-animated movie that you've blessed upon us from Netflix. We bless you thank you so much for the Casagrandes movie.
This has been fun. This has been such a fun interview. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's an amazing time. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Pleasure and honor to speak with you two gentlemen. So definitely, yeah.